Today we're going to look at the General Lee 10 meter export radio. This is an AM/FM radio. This is one of the most popular export AM radios out there. It's because this radio is well known for having very good modulation, very good sound quality on it, and it also has a really good echo as well as good receive, and all those things put together make it very popular with drivers and hobbyists as well. As you can see, this radio has the blue LEDs in it. For our filming purposes, the blue LEDs always do come out a little too bright. Rest assured, in real life here, looking at it, it doesn't look quite so intense, but it does have the blue LEDs on this model. Let's zoom in and we'll have a look at some of the features on the front of the face of the radio. Alright, starting with the left side of the radio, you'll see it has a front-facing mic connection here on the left, which is very popular with a lot of drivers. Don't have to worry about the side mount. It has a normal style 148 or Cobra 29 meter, a smaller meter on it. It has a volume and squelch control knob here. This is the volume also controls the on-off for the radio, and on the outside is your squelch control, so a dual control knob for that. Just to the right is the mic gain, RF gain control knob, also a dual control knob, and controls your RF gain on the outside and your mic gain on the inside. Just above that, we've got our three-way switch, an off A&L or NB A&L position. That's your noise blank automatic noise limiter for filtering out noise while you're driving. And we'll shift over just a little bit here towards the center. The middle switch here is a three-way rotary switch, and it's got three positions: AM, FM, and a PA function. So if you do want to run it as a PA through the radio. Just above that is your RF output power, high or low, two-way switch. So you can run it either in a high position, which will be about an 8-watt dead key on the dual finals, or you can run it in a low position, 1.5, 2 watts, if you're going to be running something behind it like an amplifier. Next to that switch, you've got an on-off for your talkback. Just below the talkback is your band frequency control switch. It's going to have A through F, and that allows you to switch through the different bands of frequencies. Up over here we have our 10 kilohertz switch, and that's to jump up or down 10 kilohertz. And our last control here is going to be our echo, or it says E-tone, and that's your echo control tone, and then you can turn it off, or you can adjust the amount of volume of the echo or amount of echo, and then you can adjust the delay here on the outside ring. So it has a really nice dual control echo, and I'll actually demo that for you just so you can hear it. Going all the way over to the right here, just to the last position, you can see the channel selector switch, the channel indicator, and it does have an RX-TX light that will change to red and green depending on receiver transmit. And you got your little Confederate faceplate. One of the nice things about these radios is they do come with the standard Ranger SRA 158 stock microphone, and it's one of the nicest microphones. We have a different review about that on cbradiomagazine.com on the website, but they come with a really nice microphone that matches up really well with these radios. So, you know, if you want to add a power mic, you can. The stock microphone on these gives you nice, loud, clear modulation. It is one of the nicest ones that I like in terms of a stock microphone. So let's turn on the radio, and I'll actually give you a little bit of a sound of what it sounds like for the echo control. So we'll put the talk back on. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. That's just the talk back. Now we can adjust the echo, and I'm just going to turn it up to maximum here. 1, 2, 3, audio. And as you can see, that's with it in the far right position on the outside knob there for the delay control. Audio. Audio 1, 2, 3. Audio 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Audio. So as you can tell, the sound that's coming through the talkback there is actually pretty close to what the radio sounds like on the air. A really clean, a nice loud modulation, and we're going to do an on-the-air test so you can actually see that. Let's have a quick look at the back of the radio. Okay, looking at the back of the radio, first thing that'll stand out is you can see there's a large heatsink across the back here. The General Lead is a dual final radio. It uses two MOSFETs currently on the newer versions. On the older versions it used two 1969 finals. The heatsink does help dissipate some of that heat that's going to be generated from the dual finals. The MOSFETs do create good amount of output. I'm going to say that they're actually going to produce a little bit more than the 1969s did in this particular radio configuration. See, this has an antenna jack on it here, and it's got two plugs on the upper right hand corner in the back. You'll see the PA plug and an external speaker plug. This does have a frequency counter jack on it, so you can plug in a 6-digit external frequency counter if you are going to be going outside the band and wanted to know where you are on the upper or lower channels. That would come in real handy, and it's real nice. You can just plug it straight in. Galaxy makes one that should plug in, as well as Ranger. Yeah, and of course it has your 3-pin power cord connection on the lower right hand side. This radio is made in Malaysia. Let's open it up and I'll show you some tuning points inside and also how to convert it for frequencies. Okay, this is the inside of the General Lee. You can see over on the right hand side here is you have your echo control board, and towards the back you can see your dual finals. What we're going to show you is a couple tuning points, basically just the simple ones. On this radio I'm going to show you the adjustments for the high and low power, as well as the modulation, high and low modulations adjustments. Okay, so at the rear of the radio here we're going to have 4 adjustment points. First one I'm going to show you is going to be your high power adjustment. Your high power adjustments for setting your dead key, and the front RF power switch is in the H position, high position. That's going to be VR13. VR13 is going to be located right here. The next point I'll show you is the low dead key or low power setting adjustment, and that's going to be VR16. It's going to be right next to VR13. VR16 is right here, and that is your low power adjustment. So when you need to set your low power for dead key for an amplifier, that's where you would adjust that point at, and that way you can just switch from high to low. That's something again I do like on a lot of the radios that just have the simple switch rather than the variable control. For modulation, you're going to have 2 points on the radio. You're going to have VR14 right here and VR12 right here. VR14 is your modulation, controlling your high modulation for high power, and VR12 is for modulation low power. I do know some people that do remove the limiter on this particular radio. You really don't need to on the General Lees. Excellent audio once you turn up the modulation. Shouldn't have a need to remove it. If you do want to, modulation limiter is going to be TR32. It's up here towards the front of the radio, just below the wires here. This is the top side of the radio, a solder side of the board, and when you go to convert this radio, up front in this area right here, you're going to see a bunch of little resistors, and those resistors are going to be running from different points all to a central point right here. What you would need to do is just remove those resistors. Ideally, if you have a lot of skill, you could desolder them. Otherwise, if you're very careful, you could just snip them out. For some people that's going to be easier because you obviously don't want to mess up any of your solder pin connections here. So if you can, snip them out. Be very careful. You want to use tools that aren't going to cause any type of magnetic disturbance in the chip, and also you're going to want to make sure you don't leave any type of wires or anything hanging out that could touch anything else on the board. Overall, when looking at the General Lee, it definitely is in the top category for radios in the AM/FM export range. The radio itself has excellent modulation. It's a very sturdy construction design in terms of the knobs, very good control feel to them. Excellent echo, talkback. It does have the high-low power adjustment on it. Very popular radio with drivers out there. It's loud enough to get the job done. You can transmit further than most basic radios. Definitely the modulation and the sound quality to it on the air really what sets this radio aside. And that's what a lot of CBers are looking for in a radio.